Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the Noon News from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your Tuesday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, we begin in Helena, where a Montana judge who oversaw a negligent homicide trial will not be disqualified. Well, last year, Greg Trude pleaded guilty in the accidental shooting death of former MSUB and Rocky Dr. Eugene Buzz Walton. Judge Michael McMahon sentenced Trude to 20 years in prison with all but 3.5 years suspended. Trude challenged McMahon's impartiality because the judge said during the sentencing hearing that he knew Walton. McMahon testified he had met Walton but did not have an extensive relationship with him. A judge ruled McMahon did not violate judicial ethics and approved an agreement between Trude and prosecutors that would allow him to seek parole. McMahon will have to approve this agreement in a hearing tomorrow. Well, Montana is about to break the 400 mark for the positive cases of COVID-19. The state's latest numbers released at 10 this morning show 399 cases. That number, remember, is the total at midnight on Monday. As of midnight, 24 people were hospitalized across the state and 197 people had recovered. COVID-19 took its first life yesterday in Wyoming, an older man from Johnson County who had serious underlying medical conditions. The state's total confirmed cases at this hour remain at 275. Well, the FDA has approved the first saliva test to help diagnose COVID-19, but the science won't be available in Montana or Wyoming just yet. A team of researchers from Rutgers University created that test. They hope it will help expand testing options and reduce the risk of infection for healthcare workers. Current screening methods require a swab from the patient's nose or throat, which means close contact and a new mask and pair of gloves each time. For now, the new test will only be available to hospitals and clinics affiliated with Rutgers. Well, the University of Montana has placed 63 employees on temporary furlough, citing the financial strain brought on by the pandemic. The workers will remain on furlough through August 1st. The employees were working in housing and dining services and rely heavily on the students being on campus. Employees will remain on the job for 30 days before the furlough takes effect.
We are glad to see that a furlough option is not considered a break-in service, so our employees are still going to be accruing their credit towards seniority and longevity, and they're still going to be getting their health insurance benefits. And so this was the best of an unfortunate situation, but it was time now to make those notifications.
University President Seth Bodner says he will donate 25% of his salary back to the university, and other senior members will do the same. It's now time to check in on the weather scene. Good afternoon, Ed. I hear you have great news for us.
Well, if you like snow and you like cold, it's okay. I guess she's not that fond of cold or snow. Let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going on. Hey, I try my best. Here we go. We got the weather activity moving down from Canada through the day, and you already see those little streaks of snow showers continuing to move through as we'll continue to watch the accumulations pile up, especially for the north-facing slopes. Some of the mountains will pick up a foot or more, 6 to 12 inches in some of the mountain foothills, but the eastern plains are left out of the snow, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily left out of the colder than average temperatures. We all get a little taste of that. I'll give you the details coming up in a few minutes with a complete forecast.
All right, thanks so much, Ed. Now, before COVID-19 ever existed, and long before we started using phrases like stay at home and shelter in place in daily conversation, well, Yellowstone National Park had already contributed to the battle over the deadly virus. MTN's John Shear explains.
It all started here in Yellowstone's famous and colorful hot springs.
Yellowstone has the largest concentration of hydrothermal features in the world.
And these hot spots are where unique heat-loving bacteria have evolved.
But one of the bacterial species that they identified is called Thermus aquaticus.
And that's where the connection to the pandemic comes in. Scientists
took an enzyme from Thermus aquaticus.
An enzyme that was key to DNA research.
Was able to essentially invent a new laboratory process.
Up until the mid-1980s, the enzymes used to map DNA were all destroyed by the heat the process generated. The Yellowstone enzyme was different because
likes a hot environment.
That gave scientists a new process.
And this process amplifies DNA.
One key molecule from a Yellowstone hot spring led to the DNA mapping we now take for granted. That would be in things like crime study, genealogy, and medicine, including vaccines like the ones being developed for COVID-19.
Medically, it's a very important technique.
And one that is still far from reaching its full potential.
But you can imagine with any infectious disease in the future that could be used.
A quarter of all the annual research permits in Yellowstone are issued to scientists looking for new and valuable bacteria.
Really pushing the envelope with extremophile and thermophile research.
Research that goes way beyond medicine, searching for the origins of life on Earth and even looking for clues to life that may exist on other planets. In Bozeman, John Shearer, MTN News.
Thanks so much, John. Now, many distilleries around the country have stepped up and switched from making alcohol to making hand sanitizer. MTN News has reported about several across Montana, but now we're hearing from a couple in Bozeman who say this has generated more business than before, and it's something they didn't expect.
Our efforts so far have now escalated. We are working round the clock, trying to work actually with all the distilleries in the state that are able to make sanitizer right now, which there's, I think, at least 10 distilleries in Montana. We're definitely busier now. It's like starting a whole new business within 2 weeks.
Since we last talked, things have really gotten crazy. We've produced and distributed over 250,000 of these 2-ounce packages or 2-ounce equivalents.
And both businesses say they don't know what the future holds and aren't sure if they'll continue making hand sanitizer once all this is over, but it sure is keeping them busy in the meantime. Well, located on the corner of West Broadway and Brook Street in Missoula, the Sleepy Inn could become a non-congregate shelter for people in need before this pandemic is over. The city of Missoula is working to purchase the 34-room motel. Initially, the facility would house those in need of a quarantine shelter while waiting on COVID test results. Eventually, the facility would be redeveloped as affordable housing. The Missoula Current newspaper reports that $1.1 million deal has the full support of Missoula County and the Health Department, but it must now win approval from the Missoula Redevelopment Agency's Board of Commissioners and the Missoula City Council. If approved next week, the purchase would close this month. Advocates of the proposal say the motel would provide certain populations a place to quarantine, something the Health Department has expressed is in urgent need. Well, the Great Falls Senior Center is now serving to-go meals 5 days a week. Great Falls Central Avenue seniors or customers of any age can stop by and order a meal to go. Then the meal can either be picked up at the front or delivered to your car. The Senior Center's mission is to maintain the seniors' social health by providing a place for them to meet with friends and engage with one another. But now that the doors have to close, administrators want to at least support seniors' physical health.
We do recognize that a lot of our older people just really don't have don't cook. So being able to be open and having an affordable breakfast or lunch that we've been priding ourselves in is important to our people and serving those people.
Meals are served Monday through Friday, breakfast weekends from 9 to 11, lunch from 11 to 2, and dinner is served drive-through style Thursday night from 3:30 to 4:30. Well, we have more ahead on your statewide noon news, including how the Chelsea Bailey Animal Shelter in Butte is lending a paw to pets in need. The time now is 12:08, but first, Ed's in next with your statewide weather forecast.